Good evening, everyone. This is Mrs. Mylene Javier, and for today, I will be presenting to you the second part of preliminaries of research. This is our group effort, by myself, my Mr. Mark Lester Javier, together with Ma'am Melinda Chavez and Mrs. Sociline Rosano. To start with, let us first define what is a dedication. It is a message from the author prefixed to a work in tribute to a person, group, or a cause, which means that most thesis papers and book manuscripts call for a section where you dedicate your writing to a particular person. Therefore, you should write a dedication part for that paper, regardless of whether you are composing a book, writing a thesis, a dissertation, a research paper, or just a project report. The dedication page of most works includes a quote from another book or a personal note to someone who has played a significant role in an author's life. Now, the same idea also holds for academic writing. Sabi nga natin, you can see various dissertation dedications examples that students often acknowledge or credit someone who has encouraged them or helped them at some times in their lives. In this part, sabi nga natin, you are free to pick anybody you wish to dedicate to your work. So typically, a dedication portion is brief and focuses on just one individual. For example, a group of people, a dedication section is typically more of a personal choice than a professional one. For example, you can mention the following in your thesis or writings. So, halimbawa, family members of yours, example, your spouse, your children, siblings, parents, you can also include your friends or people who are mentioned in or have influenced by your work. Another one is people in your life that have inspired or supported you that you want to highlight them in some ways. As it is written, that most dedications are short statements of tribute, beginning with to such or to my family. You must make the difficult choice of dedicating the result of all of your work when you have finally finished the challenging but lovely process of producing a dissertation. So, I will give you some valuable tips to help you write down your dedication page. The first one is selecting someone. The hardest part of creating your front matter is deciding to whom you want to dedicate it. The another one is naming names. So you must choose how you will name the person or persons for whom you will write your dedication after deciding to whom you will dedicate it. The third one is addressing the dedication. So your dedication can be addressed in a variety of ways. For example, you can begin your dedication by stating, I dedicate this work to, or this thesis work is dedicated to, for, ganyan po. Or start with writing without using formal greetings, The address will be appropriate if you take into account the person you have decided to dedicate your work to, your character, and the formality of your relationship. And finally, make it crisp, The majority of dedication made by the worker or the writer for their thesis or dissertations are only 4 to 5 lines long. So, ibig sabihin, dissertation dedications is always short and direct. Only give a small list of people who help you with your writings. So the reason for this is that you have the opportunity to discuss their contribution to your paper in acknowledgement section. So on these slides, I have here an example of a dedication page. So for the next part, we have here abstract. So simply put, the abstract in a dissertation is a short, but well-structured summary. So as it is written here, this is a brief summary of research, the summary must outline the most important points of your research, Example natin dito, yung mga key takeaways, It is also that summary or the abstract is usually one paragraph or about 300 to 500 words long only, about a page. But this can vary between universities. So, a quick note regarding terminologies, for example, strictly speaking, an abstract and executive summaries are two different things when it comes to academic publication. Typically, an abstract only states what the research will be about, but doesn't explore the findings, no? Whereas an executive summaries cover both, no? However, in the context of a thesis, no, the abstract usually covers both, providing a summary of the full project. In terms of content, a good research abstract usually covers the following points. No po? The first one is the purpose of research, no? Or yung sinasabi natin, what is it about and why is that important? The second part is the methodology, or how you carried out the research. Then the third part, the key research findings. So it discusses about what answers you found. And the last one is the implications of these findings, no? What these answers means. So, what's the purpose of the abstract, no? The first purpose, sabi natin, is to inform potential reader, no po, of the main idea of your research without them having to read the entire piece of your work, no? Specifically, it needs to communicate what your research about, what are you trying to find out, and what your findings were. When the readers are deciding whether to read your dissertation, the abstract is the first part they'll consider. The second purpose of abstract is to inform search engine and dissertation database as they index your dissertation or thesis. It will be easily accessible na po. For example, you use keywords and phrases in your abstract as well as your keywords list, no? So these search engines such as Google and the like will easily categorize your work and make it accessible to all users. So if you're going to ask me why it is so important, the short answer is only because most people don't have time to read your full dissertation or thesis. Think it this way. If your dissertation were a book, then the abstract would be the blurb on the back cover. Na po. It could be a summary. Sabi natin, for better or worse, reader will absolutely judge your book by its cover. So, he or she will judge your work by its abstract. Then, how to write your abstract, no? As we touched on earlier, sabi natin your abstract should cover four important aspects of your research, no? The purpose, methodology, findings, and implications. Therefore, the structure of your dissertation abstract needs to reflect these four essential in the same order. So, let's take a closer look of each one of them step by step. Step 1. Describe the purpose and value of your research. Here, you need to concisely explain the purpose and value of your research. In other words, you need to explain what your research set out to discover and why that's important. Sabi natin, when stating the purpose of research, you need to clearly discuss, no, the first one, what were your research aim and research questions, and the other one, why were the aims and question important? Sabi nga, it is essential for us to make the section extremely clear, concise, and convincing. As the opening section, this is where you'll hook your reader, no? This will be serve as your marker in and get them interested in your project. If you don't put in the effort here, you're likely to lose their interest. For step 2, briefly outline your study's methodology. No? In this part of your abstract, you need to briefly explain how you went about answering your research question. In other words, halimbawa, sabi natin, what research design and methodology you adopted in your research. Some important questions to answer, to include here are as follow. Number 1, did you take a qualitative or quantitative approach? No, we have to know the difference between the two. Later on, we will find out. What did you or did your sample consist of? Then, how did you collect your data? And how did you analyze your data? Simply put, this section needs to address the how of your research. It doesn't need to be lengthy. This is just a summary after all. The third step is present your key findings. No, you need to briefly highlight the key findings. Your research likely produced a wealth of data and findings. So there may be a temptation to ramble here. So, however, this section is just about the key findings. In other words, the answer to the original question that you set out to address. So clarity is important here. You need to concisely present the most important findings for your reader. And then the last part is the step 4 is to describe the implications of your research. I have a simple question. Have you ever found yourself reading through a large report, halimbawa struggling to figure out what all the findings mean in terms of a bigger picture? Well, that's the purpose of implication section, no? It is to highlight the so what of your research. In this part of your abstract, you should address the following question. No, the first question should be, what is the impact of your research finding on the industry or field investigated? No? In other words, what's the impact of it in the real world? No? Then another question that you should address is, what is the impact of your findings on the existing body of knowledge? For example, do they support the existing research? And the last one is, what might your findings mean for future research conducted on your topic? No? If you include these 4 essential ingredients in your dissertation or abstract, you'll be headed in a good direction. So a simple reminder, a good abstract should detail the purpose, the methodology, the key findings, the limitation of the research study. Our next part is the table of contents. No, the table of contents is where you list the chapters and the major sections of your dissertation, no po, alongside with their page number. Sabi nga, it is a clear and well-formatted table of contents is essential. Bakit po? Kasi it demonstrates to your reader that a quality paper will follow. The table of contents should be placed between the abstract and the introduction. Ang sabi nga natin, the maximum length should be 2 pages. But depending on the nature of your thesis or your paper or your topic, no, there are few formatting options that you can choose from. So, what to include in your table of contents? No, may tinatawag tayong single level table of contents. No, it only includes headings or chapters. No, this is the simplest option, but it may be too broad for a long document like dissertation. Then, mayroon din tayong tinatawag na subdivided table of contents. No po, it includes chapters as well as headings or sections. These show your reader what each chapters contains. Then, the next one, yung pong tinatawag nating a multi-level table of contents, also further divide sections into level 3 headings. This option can get messy quickly, so proceed with caution. Remember, your table of contents should not be longer than 2 pages. There are things that you should not include in your table of contents. Sabi nga natin, all level 1 and level 2 headings should be included in your table of contents. With level 3 headings, use very sparingly. So the following things should never be included in your table of contents. For example, your acknowledgement page, your abstract, and the table of contents itself. No? Bakit po? Kasi yung acknowledgement and abstract always precede the table of contents. So there is no need to include them. This goes for any section that precedes the table of contents. So ibig sabihin yung mga nauuna before you write down your table of contents. So, here is an example of a subdivided table of contents, no? As you can see, it has divided into 2 sections, no? This shows the reader what each chapter contains. The next part is what we call as list of figures, no? A list of figures for your thesis is exactly that. It is a list of names of all figures you've used in your thesis or dissertations together with the page number that they are on, no? The list of figures is specifically useful for a reader to refer to it as it. Number 1, it gives the reader an overview of the types of figure you've included in your document, and the other one, it helps them easily find a particular figure that they are interested in. So, where does the list of figures grow? Sabi nga natin, write your list of figures and list of tables immediately after your list of contents. No? Unless specifically asked by a journal, you should not include a separate list of figures in a manuscript for peer review. Sabi nga, there are important points to remember in writing down your list of figures, nga. Ensure that the figure title in your list of figures are exactly the same as actually used in the main document. So you have to double check na po that the page numbering is correct and the font size, margins, and all formatting is correct. You have to see this idea. For example, if you are referring to figure 1.1, make sure that figure 1.1 is the thing that you are discussing or referring to. And the last part is the list of tables. Opo, it includes all data or findings reflected in the tables with the number, with table number, table title, and the page number. So, a list of tables complies all of these tables that you use in your dissertation, no? Along with their corresponding page number. So, this list gives your reader an overview of how you have used your tables in your document. As it is said that while these lists are often not required, no, you may want to include them as a way to stay organized in your dissertation topic, no? It may also leads you to use several tables over the course of your paper. So, your institution or your educational institution may require one. So, be sure to check their guidelines. No? Ultimately, if you do choose to add one, it should go directly after your table of contents. And that concludes my report. Thank you po for listening.